Is The Rise of Skywalker really worth watching? Hello there my fellow moviegoers, Chris back here in the movie chair, and I just got one quick question for you guys. The Skywalker saga has finally ended, so we must ask ourselves, is The Rise of Skywalker really worth watching? Did it end the Skywalker story the way that the fans really would want it to end? I've seen the movie, I've actually seen it twice now, and I've actually decided to come on here and talk about it with you guys and actually break it down to find out, is it actually good? Is there things they could have done better? Well, let's just get right into it now. So when the story first starts off, what's the first thing that you see in the title? The dead speak. Yes, that's right, Emperor Palpatine is apparently still alive, and he's been controlling things. Snoke wasn't real. Snoke was like a clone or I guess from the dark side, he created life within Snoke, kind of like I guess what he did with Anakin in a way in the beginning. How you feel about that? We'll get into that a little bit later. But Kylo Ren actually goes on a search to find him, and he does find him. And Emperor Palpatine actually promised him that he could actually become what Darth Vader could never be. And he goes out on the hunt to try to find Rey, to bring Rey to the Emperor. And of course, in the midst of all this, the Resistance is still fighting the First Order. The First Order is still trying to find the Resistance. Rey's been training with Leia to become a Jedi Master. We actually learn a little bit that Leia was trained by Luke Skywalker, so she actually does have some Jedi training in her system. But the point of the story is we go on a major quest trying to find the Wayfinder so that the Resistance can find out which planetary system is the Emperor on, so that they can go fight him and destroy him. Successfully, hopefully this time. And along the way, Rey has revelations about herself. We find out that her parents really are nobody, but we do learn that her grandfather was actually somebody. Her grandfather is the Emperor. How does he do this? Well, apparently Rey's dad was a failed clone of the Emperor. Now, personally for me, when it comes to all this about bringing the Emperor back from the dead, this is kind of like a big stretch for me. It's kind of like this Deus Ex Machina, jump the shark, nuke the fridge kind of thing, where they really had not built up a good, solid villain for the new Star Wars franchise. They had an opportunity with Snoke, but they killed him off too soon. They never really let Kylo Ren go off into the deep side like we were thinking he was going to. So they end up just bringing back the Emperor to make up for it. And really, I do not think that they should have gone that far to bring back the Emperor, because it's really a big stretch, and it's playing it safe too, because you're just going back to a villain that you know people have feelings for instead of trying to create something new in the process. Now here's the thing, I would not have been opposed to the idea of the Emperor coming back in this movie, but there's a way that they could have done it that would have made actually a lot of sense. But in order to get into that, we need to go all the way back to The Last Jedi, when they were in Snoke's little chancellor room there at the end with Rey and Kylo Ren. And when they were discussing and talking there, Snoke could have gone into this a little bit. The way he could have done this is he could have talked to Rey, because earlier Kylo Ren mentioned about how Rey's parents were nobody. Snoke could have gone into this a little bit, going into saying how Kylo Ren told you about your parents, didn't he? And her going into it, yes, they were nobody. And him just going in even further into it saying, that is so true, your parents were nobodies, but your grandfather, he was the most powerful user of the Force I have ever seen. He managed to do things that were considered unnatural, extending life, creating life, and in fact, he managed to bring down the entire Jedi Order and the Republic. And that would have been a big awestruck for the crowd in the movie theater during The Last Jedi if they would have done it like that. Because you know who he's talking about without actually saying the name. And then we get into it. We get into it being the Emperor. And like Rey having that realization. And in her anger because of this accusations that she has actually got Sith blood running through her, she could have just snapped and killed Snoke herself instead of Kylo Ren. Which would have created some more diversion. Which would have actually had Kylo Ren tell her, see, you have established your true power, join me, and we can actually, you know, be a very good power couple kind of stuff in this sense. And then she just runs off and you don't know where she goes or anything like that until you get into The Rise of Skywalker, where she's trying to kind of like come to peace with this and try to figure out how can she avoid becoming what her grandfather was. And that's where we get into it, because we have never seen, in the movies at least, we have never seen like a Sith Force Ghost. We've always seen Jedi Force Ghosts. What if in The Rise of Skywalker, we would have seen Palpatine as a Force Ghost coming to Rey, trying to convince her to become and accept her heritage and taking up the mantle of being a Sith. So I know what you're thinking, there's some questions there. How would Snoke know that Emperor Palpatine was Rey's grandfather? Well, the way you go into that is, Snoke could have talked about how he was actually an apprentice to the Emperor at the same time that Darth Vader was, because we've seen that in the books where a Sith Lord had 2 apprentices. Maybe he didn't have his faith in Darth Vader and he had Snoke on the side. And Snoke talked about how the Emperor taught him all these different techniques in the dark side, and how he was there and knew about the clone and everything like that that led to Rey. That's a possibility for that. The big question that would happen also is, how is it that the Emperor would wait so long to come to Rey as a Force ghost up until this point? Wouldn't he have done it earlier? That's kind of a trick. We would have to see, go into a little bit more of a story detail about that. I'm not sure exactly how you could actually get around that. But I think this could have added something really interesting to the story, because we've never gone into really deep into seeing a character fight off the dark side. We saw it a little bit with Anakin. They could have gone more with Anakin. Rey could have had a lot with the battles and the demons with trying to get that. And they maybe even searching for some Jedi texts and stuff like that to do it. Much in the same way, then the same process, Kylo Ren could have actually had a message or a hologram from the Emperor that was actually given to Darth Vader to complete his training that Kylo Ren found, or Snoke found for Kylo Ren, that he actually goes off, and maybe it could have been that planet that the Emperor was actually in the Rise of Skywalker, where he actually goes to complete his training to the dark side, and that's where they could have happened. Kylo Ren and Rey could have had their final battle on that planet to decide, which way will the planet, which way would the galaxy go? Would it go Jedi, light side, or dark side? Which would have actually worked better for the original title of Episode 9, which was going to be The Duel of the Fates. I kind of like that sound a little bit better. And we could have seen the Resistance and the First Order going at it and battling it out in the streets of Coruscant, like we would have seen in the original script from the first director and writer for the Episode 9, who was Colin Trevorrow. Which there are plenty of things in his original script which I would have actually enjoyed more, such as the fact that at the end of The Last Jedi, we saw Luke Skywalker say to Kylo Ren, "See you around, boy." I would have liked to have seen it in Episode 9. Maybe he actually comes back and does what Colin had in his original script, which is haunt Kylo Ren, trying to get Kylo Ren to turn away from the dark side back to the light side. But I don't think Kylo Ren should have ever turned back to the light side, because he's done a lot of heinous stuff, and he was so determined to become the most powerful, to become what Darth Vader never would have been. It should have been a huge final battle between Kylo Ren and Rey to determine which side would take control. All in all, this movie, it kind of played it safe when it came to the story. You went back to elements from the Star Wars saga that they knew had worked in the past, and they thought that they could work again. Did they work again? That's going to be deciding on which kind of Star Wars fan you are. Do you appreciate more of the old-fashioned stuff and wanted that stuff to keep around? Or maybe you're looking for something maybe a little bit new and surprising to happen in the series? Me personally, I kind of wanted to see a little bit something more different. I wanted to see them expand and actually grow and maybe introduce new, some new elements that would have actually left us on our toes. So does that mean, is this movie worth watching or not watching? It's worth to check it out just to see what they did. This movie is going to polarize, Star Wars fans, much like The Last Jedi did. You're going to have some that really like it or some that really hate it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't overly love it. I'm just kind of like, okay, all right, it was fun and it was okay. But it wasn't anything that was like jaw-dropping experience for me like I have experienced in the past with some Star Wars films. I'd probably watch it again, of course, but I just feel like if you're going to end the Skywalker saga, it could have ended a little bit better than what they did with this. I was hoping for a little bit more surprises, and this one just kind of followed a similar formula that we've had in the past. But what did you guys think of the film? Did you enjoy it? What are some of the problems, or what are some of the things that you liked about it? Please, I would love to know what you guys thought down in the comment section below, because that is what it is there for. And also, don't forget, if you like this, please remember to like it and also to subscribe to the channel so that you can stay up to date with all the upcoming movie reviews, trailer reactions, everything that I got planned for the future. Well, alright my friends, that is all the time we have for today. I'll be seeing you guys later, and I will save you a movie chair for the next video.